So Not Okay is a social media cautionary tale, I guess is the best way to describe it. Um, this is kind of like it's bizarre. It's kind of like a dark comedy that kind of like warns about the dangers of what comes with like online fame, or like that craving to matter in like the online landscape. Um, like I guess the best way to describe it is just talk about the story. So Zoe Deutsch plays Danny Sanders, and Danny is basically a photojournalist who's struggling to make it as a writer. But she's not. But her writing isn't that good, and she's not as accepted by her coworkers. And you can kind of understand why. Like, she's a little bit lost in her own world. She basically wants to be popular. She basically wants. I think that's the best way to describe it. She wants to be popular and she wants to matter. And it ends up with her kind of like alienating other people with that desire. Like, at one point, she's in the elevator with two of her coworkers. One of them is black and one of them is gay. And she basically says the black person is also gay. So she's like, oh, it must be so great to have your little clubs where you get to meet up with all the other gay people. Oh, you guys are lucky. And the moment that she leaves the elevator, of course, she's like bitch, what are you doing? So yeah, Danny's immediately a person who, you do not like, and she's kind of egotistical. She's caught up in her own ways. So in order to seem more important and to get more clout on social media, especially since she's trying to get the attention of this influencer, she decides to set up her own little Instagram account where she fakes going to Paris. She's like, oh, I'm in Paris this week for this great writer's workshop. Like, she fakes it. She makes a website and all that. She's like, oh, here I am. And she grabs baguettes from the grocery store and she photoshops backgrounds and all that, and basically tries to fake her entire Paris trip. But that kind of goes awry once there's a terrorist attack in Paris. So everyone is like, oh God, Danny, you're okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. And so basically she fakes her return from Paris and now has to go with the social media narrative that she survived the chaos and is basically like has trauma and is trying to get, basically trying to be brave about it. So of course, everyone at the office loves her. They take on her for writing, and her social media accounts blow up. Now, in order to gain more popularity and to seem more genuine, she actually connects with another a person who's gone through trauma, Rowan, who's played by Mia Isaac. And Rowan has gone through a school shooting where her sister was killed during a school shooting, and she's basically like fighting for like gun control as a very heavy-duty activist. Like, she takes her work very seriously. She goes to rallies. She risks her life. She gets very heated and very passionate about what she's talking about. And she can also, like, sense, like, Danny doesn't quite have, like, the same thing that she does. Like, Danny tries so hard to fake, having this trauma. And for the most part, Rowan kind of buys it. But eventually, like, you see where this is going. Eventually, someone is going to discover what happens to her. Now, what I love so much about this film is that there's a dark comedic buildup of it, and I love how it's basically satirizing the social media appeal here by showing off how it's easy to gain the appreciation of social media, but also the ire when all of it comes from an artificiality that you build up within yourself. So basically, to put it bluntly, Danny's a grifter. But she's a grifter for clout. And she basically just chasing that clout the whole time. And you really do not like her. And what I love so much about this film is that you really don't have to like her. Like, I love the fact that this film is set up into different parts, and like they name each chapter of the film. And I love how you get closer towards the end, and one of like the last chapters is called I Do Not Get a Redemption Arc. And I really, like, the film kind of, like, falters. Like, there's certain points where, like, okay, am I really supposed to care for this character? Or are they actually going to learn anything in here? Because, like, you could sense, like, this film could really fall flat on its face by the end. Like, it's doing a decent job at portraying, like, how empty and pathetic like social media chasing can be when it's all based on lies and you're just chasing people who are just as artificial as you. Like, I love the fact that I'm trying to think what the character's name. I think his name was like Colin, who's like an influencer that Danny's trying to get involved with. Who basically, she wants a relationship with this dude, and I love the fact that he keeps talking like yeah, we're hanging, boys, let's go, boys. And at one point, someone calls like, dude, you're from Maine, just give it a rest already. So I love the fact that it definitely it's not just like kind of like tongue in cheek, kind of like subtle satire of calling this out. It directly calls it out towards the end of the film. There is no redemption arc for Danny. And I love the fact that when you get to the very end of the film, Danny is shoved out of the picture. Like, Rowan, who has like a much more interesting story to tell and something bigger to fight for and feels betrayed by Danny, actually takes center stage here. Like literally, like there's a moment where Danny has prepared like this big this big forgiveness speech that she wants to give. Say like, I did wrong and I know I can do better, and it doesn't happen because she listens to what Roma has to say on the issue and basically decides that, yeah, I screwed up here and I might have deserved it. Like, she definitely deserves it, but I think the fact that she realized like, okay, I gotta step back because I screwed up here. I feel like that works here. And I love the fact that a lot of the drama feels more genuine. Like, it feels much more reflective of social media culture rather than just kind of like trying to peer in from the outside. Like, in most films that approach like social media would generally have that scene where they're like, oh, we've gone viral, baby, it's the best thing ever, and like having a hit on YouTube, you know the scene. We've all seen it by now. They post that video, everyone loves it. They see the numbers go up and the thumbs up go on the video, and it's like, it's the best thing ever. What could be better than that? And here's a film that says like, well, if you're not really genuine, it's not going to do you much good here. And I love the fact that it calls it out. There's also in the same vein as Free Guy, there's also a few cameos here. Including, I did not expect this, which is a bit of a surprise, and they've kind of revealed it on social media right now, but the Mega 64 characters of Todd and Aaron, who were meant to be like the ridiculous people, like the ridiculous like frat boys, I guess, who always do like end of the year lists, and they're always the most ridiculous things ever, appear in this film as agitators who try to dox Danny. Which is like, it's a brilliant little touch there, and I think like little elements like that remind you that it's a dark comedy, which I think is actually pretty clever, because like it doesn't feel like it's just like, there are a few other YouTubers who they kind of just use them as the YouTubers you would expect, but I think to have like the Mega 64 characters of like Todd and Aaron playing the ridiculous satirical characters that they were, it works so well within this narrative. And like, I kind of went back and forth on this film, because like I would say this, it definitely kept me engaged the whole time. I did want to see Danny's downfall, because it feels so very deserved with how fake she feels throughout all this, where you want to see her tumble hard, and she does. And thankfully, it's not just there's, like I said, there's no redemption arc for her. You're not going to get that moment where she comes up to Ronan and she apologizes, she amends her ways, and everything is nice and happy by the end of the film. There is no happy ending. And that's like probably like the best selling point of this. And I think in general, it mostly works. I feel like it meanders a little bit too much with how like Danny gets kind of like lost in her cause here. I feel like it could have done with a few more satirical jabs just to let you know just how detrimental this type of life could be. But for the most part, I feel like it really works for what it's trying to say here.